Alright guys, today's book is The Rebel by Camus. I really love this book. I can't say enough good things, and if you notice, we're back in the prison studio. I miss getting those comments. Are you in prison? Are you in jail? It's funny, but yeah. It's just a cinder block wall behind me. I don't know why everyone gets so upset. But anyway, into today's book. Today's book is The Rebel by Camus. And the idea behind The Rebel is very simple. It's the idea that no matter who you are, there's a part of you that wants to push back. There's a part of you that wants to exact its will upon the world. This is what Nietzsche described as the will to power. The idea that in some facet of your life you want to exact some sort of control. And Camus says it comes in the form of rebellion, and it comes in the form of not just a civil rebellion, but in the form of a metaphysical rebellion, a rebellion against the divine right of kings, a rebellion against capitalism, a rebellion in the form of art. And through these different forms of expression, through these different forms of rebellion, Camus really hits at a core fundamental aspect of humanity. And one of the big overarching ideas is the idea that rebellion will never end. The very second a rebellion ends, the very second a revolution, installs a new government, is the very second the new government starts to oppress the people. Because inherently, all of these systems are going to fall short in some way. Inherently, when a new system arises, there's going to be a group of people that don't like it. There's going to be a group of people that aren't benefited by this new system. And then the tides of the revolution begin again. And it's an interesting parallel to Camus' idea of the myth of Sisyphus, where life just goes in cycles. Life just ebbs and flows, and what works today, what accomplishments you have today, are eventually going to fade and eventually going to be replaced by something new. And it's finding the joy in this that is the focus of this book, or the focus of the myth of Sisyphus. But this book is more so about how revolution is inherently flawed, how it inherently will never reach its goal, but how it's a necessary thing to find new ideas, to find greater ideas. And the book starts out with the rebellion against God. And it's a very interesting idea, because it's not so much a rebellion against the idea of God, but it's the rebellion against the institutions. And I don't know, if I had a conversation with Camus, I think I'd really emphasize this. Like, so much emphasis in terms of religion is put on the institutions, on the church, on whatever organization runs that religion, but no emphasis is put on God. And I think this is a big issue that is really plaguing the world right now, because you look at the Catholic Church's books, they can end every single problem with the amount of wealth they've amassed, but they don't do it. And it's like, do you really care about the ideas of Christianity? Do you really care about lifting everyone up? Or is it a institution? Is it a business? Is it something that is really just about preserving power and preserving the divine right of kings? And I think this is a very interesting idea, and these are perplexing issues. And it's like, who's to say that you need someone else to bring you closer to God? And I think that's the fundamental issue that Nietzsche was hitting at, that Camus was hitting at. And it's a very interesting discussion to begin having. And I think more and more people are waking up to this, but perhaps people are taking it the wrong way. This is the way Camus interpreted it, but he found an outright rejection of God because he rejected the institutions, and I think this is a shame. And that's the one real criticism I say of this book, is that it rejects the idea of a greater purpose, the idea of a creator, the idea of something beyond humanity that keeps humanity looking up to something. Because when humanity doesn't have a higher ideal to appeal to, a higher ideal to represent, to put into this world, then they accept lesser ideals. This is what you see in the decay of modern morality. This is what you see in the decay of architecture and art and all of these things. It's because we've taken God out of the equation. It's because we've taken these higher ideals out of the equation that the arts, the mediums, are getting lowered and lowered and lowered. And that really segments into the next issue, which is historical rebellion, the rebellion against government, the rebellion against oppression, and all of these ideas. And this is an interesting one, because he talks about communism, he talks about fascism, he talks about the American and French Revolution. I think the American and French Revolution parts of this book were very interesting, because Camus hit a really interesting historical context to these revolutions. Because prior to the American and French Revolution, every country was ruled by, quote unquote, God's incarnate, God's divine right. Like, God incarnated and he gave this person the power, and because of this, everyone in that family line has the power. But the Jacobin or Jacobin, I don't know how to say it, and the American Revolution were really about taking the power away from this entity and putting it in the people. And it worked in America. It obviously didn't work in France the first time, maybe not even the second time or the third. I don't know exactly how many revolutions there were, but there was a lot of them, and there was a lot of bloody ones before they figured out the whole democracy thing. But yeah, I thought it was just an interesting idea, and especially looking at it in the context of philosophy, because most of the discussions we have about politics, most of the discussions we have about the political system are purely material. They're purely historical. Whereas if you try to look at it at an individual level, I think this is where these ideas begin to fade, because at one point Camus starts talking about fascism and communism, and he has a really good point where he says a collective ideal is not better for the individual. Like, collectivism isn't good for everybody. It's not good for anybody. Like, when you destroy every opinion and form them all into one, then there's no more progress. And I think this is a really interesting perspective to take, and it's just really awesome to see someone that had such a good worldview, had such a encompassing belief about things. And I think a lot of people mess up the point and the issue of the world today. The world today is the way it is because people focus on the external. People don't focus on the internal. But much of what Camus is saying is that you need to retreat to the internal, because when you focus on things on the individual level, when you focus on the humanity aspects of things, like communism doesn't work, because yes, everyone should have a fair outlook. Everyone should have everything fair. The means of production should be in the workers' hands, but that's not how it works, because the second you start to collectivize everything, the second you begin to centralize them, who is distributing? Who is giving out these things? Who is going to do it without first paying themselves? And that's the real issue of things. Like, you can never have an absolute communist system, because people are not perfect. People will act in their own best interest and not in the best interest of everyone else. And this is going to spread unfairness throughout the entire system. And in theory, all of these systems would be amazing. In theory, socialism would be great. Free medicine, free college, you have an instant job. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has something to look forward to. But it's like, you can't do that. That's not how humanity works. And there's some psychology, there's some philosophy, there's some aspect of the human soul which will not submit to these ideals. And the last thing I found very interesting was Camus basically took the same opinion I do towards art, where all art is a form of expression. And this expression is usually something that is not expressed throughout our day-to-day. Like, for very many people, they have like certain creative elements that they just simply can't do in their 9-to-5. Like, it's really hard to be creative in Excel. It's really hard to be creative in some of these mediums, in some of these things. And just finding a way to put that emphasis on canvas, put that part of yourself on canvas, is something that has been so valuable, something that has spoken to us for so long. It was, Emerson said that every work of genius is a piece of ourselves that have never been expressed, and when we recognize it, we can recognize genius. And that's really what Camus is saying. Camus is saying that, like, when you can be artistic, when you can express yourself in a medium that is beyond the spoken, beyond just the pure, just what is in front of you, there's something deeper, there's some deeper level. Like, that's where you can get the happiness, that's where you can get the fulfillment. And it's a constant battle, and it's a constant struggle to express your artistic value, express your artistic ideals in a world where people will not understand it. And very, very interesting book. I would very much suggest you picking up this book. Basically, all of Camus' books are extremely inspiring. This one is probably a good thing to read after The Myth of Sisyphus. I think The Myth of Sisyphus will set you up perfectly to read this book, but if you're new to absurdist philosophy, I think it might be a little difficult, because it's simply like, it kind of just jumps in and it kind of doesn't explain it as well. Whereas The Myth of Sisyphus is almost like a crash course on the absurd aspect of life. And you really won't understand what Camus is trying to say, because I don't think he goes into extreme depths about exactly what he's feeling. So I would say, if you've read The Myth of Sisyphus, pick this book up. Honestly, if you liked anything I said in this book, like, you'll like this book. But I just think reading Myth of Sisyphus, reading The Rebel, That's the first thing to do. I'll link both those books. Love you guys so much. My school is still free right now. Only like 5, 6 spots open still, completely for free. So please join that right now because I want everyone who actually enjoys this content to get in there for free. I don't want you guys to have to ever pay me a dime, but like I can't have it free for forever. Like I got bills to pay. So like please just take advantage of this opportunity. If you want to know when I'm streaming, if you want more updates, I'm trying to build up my Discord. I'm trying to get it more active. I want it to be a place where, not only I'm giving book suggestions, giving quotes, giving ideas, like other people are as well. And that's slowly getting more and more active. But yeah, if that's something you want to be part of, like just click those links. Love you guys so much. Peace out. I will catch you next one.